Hey guys, welcome to VM Square. And I know some of you were waiting for VM Square for a very long time. And Vani and I haven't done like solo streams for a very long time and solo episodes for a very long time. So we decided ki we'll make a comeback on Kitaabi Cabins. And I'm really happy. Hi Vani, how are you? How do you feel about us doing it again?
I feel very nice. It's lovely to be here. I feel like okay, this is my comeback season. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. Genuinely, we have great things planned, and I hope everyone will like what we're talking about as much as we would love to talk about the things that we're going to share in VM Square now.
Yeah. So we all are twinning also. These are our Chalchitra hoodies. Like आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे.
Yeah,
Available on Kadak merch. बहुत ज़्यादा classy है ये and you should
and
go
they're very
and check it out.
comfortable also and soft. What I really like
Yeah.
about the hoodies is they're very soft. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
hug from Chalchitra.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Now let's begin. Today we want to talk about. You wouldn't be surprised. It's Chalchitra Vaani and Vaibhav. Grief की बात करने आए हैं वापस से. And it's like us coming back to grief again. And what's wrong with us, Vani? Why are we so
I
obsessed
think
with grief?
I personally have figured it out. I don't get to do it in real life, so I think that's what we do in streams, where we give ourselves the safe space to grieve whatever we have to. सारी
Nice.
थेरेपी हम यहीं पे निकालते हैं.
Nice. So, वानी ने सिर्फ 27 थेरेपिस्ट बदले पिछले 15 महीने में,
And I've been
राइट?
changing my latest one also. I hope she doesn't watch.
Oh.
I don't know. I just think every time we're close to a what's the word for it? Every time we're close to a breakthrough, I just realize she knows me a little too much. I need to get out of here. And वो मेरा अलग thread, and I hope someday I will trust a therapist enough to address this with them. But yeah.
Got it. Got it. So, उसी बात पे आगे बढ़ते हैं. I'm थोड़ा सा scared now. We are going to talk about it after this, like the recording.
Oh no,
But
no, no.
uh, one difference, guys, we have this time is we are doing it pre-recorded. क्योंकि because timings और उसका मतलब क्योंकि हमारे लिए अभी particular times ऐसे work कर रहे हैं which are not very stream friendly, and we also want to experiment. कि अगर हम इनको थोड़ा सा और एडिट करके डालेंगे तो कैसा वर्क करेगा. सो आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड. डू यू
Yeah.
थिंक इट वुड वर्क बेटर द रिकॉर्डिंग पार्ट ऑफ इट प्री
I don't
रिकॉर्डेड?
know about that, but I'm pretty certain that we'll be more relaxed. And
या.
also, I don't think we'll send out a lot of edited version because VM Square is about rawness. If you won't see us crying and then beach mein cut aake, we're like, no, we'll be crying through it all.
Let's start with this only. Okay, so today we want to talk about a particular chapter from the book, How to Be a Person in the World. Do you have the cover of the book? Ah, nice. Because I removed my cover, so I have it like this. Yeah, I keep it. I do it for all hard copies that I have. जो
Yeah,
मतलब
and
ऐसे.
then the white will be ruined after some time, Vaibhav.
एंड देन उसकी क्लासीनेस बढ़ जाएगी और फिर जब हम बहुत सक्सेसफुल हो जाएंगे तो उसको 80 लाख में बेचेंगे. सॉरी. अरे नहीं मतलब बट द स्मेल ऑफ इट
Yeah,
लाइक.
yeah, yeah. No, 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 I absolutely understand. I just, yeah, if I could, I'd cover all my books with transparent paper, but I can't. But here it is. Anyway,
वी विल स्टार्ट विद अ चैप्टर दैट लाइक. सो मैं अभी कुछ दिन पहले फ्लाइट में था एंड दिवाली के दौरान एंड आई सेंट वानी अ स्नैपशॉट फ्रॉम चैप्टर आई वाज रीडिंग फ्रॉम आस्क पॉलीज बुक एंड वानी आस्क्ड मी क्या है मेरे को बताओ. And I told her this is the Ask Polly book, How to Be a Person in the World, and she ordered it right away. Parallelly, I was sending a few snapshots in the book club, but then my flight took off and the network went away. And by the time I landed, I'm like, if I had been, if my data had been active, like thoda sa bhi, I would have shared every page and every word of it in the group because I want the world to know the how good this chapter is. You have already seen me talk about Ask Polly, Heather, in past also, and I don't know if we should keep this part. There is a very good chance because I have the confirmation that like I'm recording an episode with her in the first week of December. So that's also going to be something. So let's see like how that like works. But ये एक चैप्टर है वानी आप इसका प्रेमिस सेट कीजिए कि सो बेसिकली व्हाट हैपेंस इज लोग आस्क पॉली को चीजें लिखते हैं उनकी लाइफ में जो प्रॉब्लम्स चल रही हैं एंड देन लाइक शी रिस्पॉन्ड्स टू दोस सो वानी इसमें प्रॉब्लम सेट जो है आप बताइए क्या था
Mm, in a short summary, summaries are anyway short, sorry. But in summary, there's a woman who's grieving the death of her father, and it's been a year. And by the regular adult laws of the world, she should be done grieving. So nobody is very empathetic to how she's feeling, and she writes to ask Polly, and she says, "How do I deal with this grief that's haunting me? Will I ever be able to move on?" And the problem is that nobody around her, she thinks nobody around her is able to feel or realize what she's dealing with, and so she feels alone. And she asks Polly that if she'll ever be able to toughen up, move on, and get over this grief. Is there any end to this grief of the death of her father? And then Ask Polly responds to this
yeah
question.
what is the most striking part for me and I don't know why you didn't mention it is the mother part of
Yeah,
it so
I wanted us
basically
to start with that. I'll
ha
tell you why. Because when I read the question, she talks about the death of her father, and the last paragraph, I think towards the end, she says, "Moreover, my mother," and the mother of the person who's writing this question, has said she cannot understand why I am still grieving and depressed over my dad's death. And a part of me could relate, not that in case of my mother, but I know there are people who talk to you like that. And when I read this
everyone could
question,
relate like we can all relate
yeah,
like you don't sugarcoat like it's very relatable sugarcoat नहीं करो आंटी कुछ आप बढ़िया हो आप प्लीज चिंता मत करो but let us VM square में no sugarcoating one
yeah.
rule
I mean,
number one
I completely understand. And when I read this question, I did not know if somebody, because I've had friends who've lost their fathers, I've had friends who've lost their mothers. And fortunately for me, I still have most of my loved ones intact near me. And when I read this thing, a part of me just, I had tears in my eyes when I read the question because after reading the mother's part. And and I did not know how one addresses it. And the thing that I wasn't expecting was that Ask Polly will start with uh, addressing the issue with the mother. That was the first thing she talks about in the very first sentence. That's the point where
yeah
she picks up.
so yeah
And yeah, उसके बाद it
for
was
some yeah
yeah.
for some context setting the mother says my mother has said, like, for some context setting, the last paragraph of the question is my mother has said she can't understand why I'm so sad and depressed over my dad's death. It's a message I've gotten before, as though I'm overreacting in my grief. That I need to toughen up and I get over it. I'm in therapy, but I worry how I will ever deal with this. Can you give me an advice? Signed the daughter left behind. I love the sign.
Yeah.
And then Ask Polly starts with Dear TDLB, your mother can't tolerate seeing you unhappy. That's all. She's unsettled by it and worries that you'll never snap out of it. Up, guys, मेरी highlights चालू होती हैं. I'll show it to you for a second. So this is how my highlights look in this. Okay, this is one page number one. Then मैं आपको दिखाऊंगा. This is the other page. This is how it looks then इसके अगला page. This is how it looks then इसके अगला page. I have like literally and the last page पूरा का पूरा.
Nice.
So this is I have highlighted 70 to 80% of it, and hence and when Vani also liked it, we are like let's start like VM Square's new season with this. And then Polish ko samjhati as a mother, I can relate to that very well. I'm sympathetic to her. She only wants you to be happy. And one of the reasons why I've also said in past why I like asked Folly a lot is because of her command over the English language. Now she uses the word but in the next para. Ki, "Yeah, your mother can't see you unhappy and all." But then she uses but twice. First is but
It's like,
and then but in
but
uppercase.
but there's a
Yes.
certain kind of childhood to be had in
और
that.
ये मैंने this is my first highlight.
This is my
There
second
is a
highlight. No, this is also my first highlight. This is my first highlight.
oh
Screen five.
There's a there is a certain kind of childhood to be had in the company of someone who only wants you to be happy. Think of that. Think of what that means. The flatness, the scentless sterility of that.
That
Oh
I
shit! मैं
only,
इतना excited हूँ.
yeah.
I only want you to be happy.
I think I cried here because I had this realization this year that a lot of people in my life only want to be around me when I'm a certain way. And I am a people pleaser, and I've built my personality around the kind of moods people want me to have. So if I'm meeting, say, a certain A person, I will only be in that mood. If I'm meeting a C person, I'll be in a different mood. And I can't bring together these people because they'll be like, who's this person that, because I am
Yeah.
confused. Who am I supposed to be when I'm around these people? And then there are people who can't stand you angry. They only want you to be a certain way. And it's civilization is being civilized, polite, and proper is a way of life, but it's also very taming. And I think as we grow up, part of us misses childhood because we've been tamed. We've been tamed to be so proper that we've forgotten and we're no longer in touch with the the emotions that mostly terrify people. Where she talks about this here. Think about what that means, the flatness, the scentless sterility of that.
Oh,
I
this is
only want you to be happy. Here's what I don't
and
want
this.
you to be. And
Let me come there. We'll come there. But can we just take an episode to appreciate this paragraph? It can be just this paragraph. There is a certain kind of childness to be had in the company of someone who only wants you to be happy. Holy shit, dude!
yeah,
और फिर कि दिस इज द मतलब कि और फिर द वे शी सेज कि लाइक क्या कहते हैं कितना गलत लाइक साउंड कर रहा है
yeah.
like the flatness, the scentless sterility of that.
Like,
And
and then
yeah.
she's written I full stop I period only period want period you period two period be period happy period. It's like I only want you to be happy.
Yeah, because yeah, it's a very selfish thing.
Yeah.
And then because then she explains, so अपन एक एक इमोशन पढ़ेंगे. ठीक है. I'll read the first one, then you read the next one, then you read the next one. I'll read the next one. ठीक है.
Yeah.
Then she says कि here is what I don't want you to be. Devastated,
Confused,
remorseful,
harried,
unnerved,
haunted,
inspired,
embarrassed,
tempted,
nervous,
seduced,
melancholy,
nostalgic.
grateful. And
She doesn't want, yeah.
you know what, like, do you real as I was reading through these words, I realized how every time I felt any of these, and I've ended up kind of losing my calm and expressing it to somebody, I always end up apologizing. I
Oh,
I attended a so I have social anxiety, and this is something I've come to realize in my recent sessions. And every time I was nervous in the wedding, I apologized to the friend I was with. I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, okay.
oh,
And then I read this morning today and I was like, it's just we've been trained to feel sorry and feel apologetic every time we go through any of these emotions.
yeah.
When we're just overwhelmed with any, even a single one of these emotions.
And and then the next para comes in where she says, your mother doesn't want you to struggle or overthink things. She अब मेरा highlight चालू होता है. She doesn't want you to be sensitive or complicated. She doesn't want you to honor exactly who you
This
are.
is the line
She
I've
wants you,
underlined.
yeah. She doesn't want you to honor who you are.
Yeah.
Uh, she wants you to get over it, or so she can feel at peace again. She's probably a bit controlling. Just a guess. She is a, or the next line I have highlighted. She's probably a little bit anxious.
And again, I understand that and I have empathy for it as a sometimes anxious woman with kids. But you have to find a way to set all of her expectations and desires for you aside. You can love her and still do that. You have to find a way to get a little space for yourself, to get a little distance, so you can look back over that distance and say, this person, my mother, is conflicted and sad in ways that she won't admit. She wants us to lie together. She will react negatively to anything that I do that doesn't feel absolutely safe and controlled and happy, and that's not a direct reflection of what she wants for me. Do you want me to go on reading?
No, no. What do you think of this paragraph?
This I've underlined the entire paragraph.
I have also underlined the entire paragraph.
Really, she says that I think as
Vani, would your 27th, how would you feel if your 27th therapist is asked one?
oh, I would be. I don't think I'll consider leaving her for a really long time until shit gets real.
Yeah.
But I think as adults, I don't know if anybody else struggles with it. I think a lot of us struggle with it actually, but we don't admit it. We are so used to honoring the wishes of our parents that we forget who we are, and
Hmm.
we don't know how.
वानी बातों बातों में बड़ा बॉम्ब ड्रॉप कर गई.
Yeah. And I think I particularly am at that age where I'm setting expectations with my parents, where I'm drawing boundaries with them, and it's very very difficult. And when she says here, you have to find a way to set all of her expectations and desires for you aside. It's very real, and unless and until you're someone who's struggled with it, I don't think you'll understand the depth of these sentences. You won't
Yeah.
understand why we're sitting here with tears in our eyes.
Yeah.
Because and then she says you can love her and still do that, because I think I every time I do something that my parents won't approve of, I just feel like uh, a daughter who's not doing her duty well. And
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 Vani, this is the
and
signature of the girl who had written this, the daughter left behind.
yeah, and you know what, there's this chapter in this reminded me of the episode we there are this reminded me of two chapters from the School of Life. One is about when parents put their expectations on you, and the other was about being the good child. The good child is always used to doing what to getting the parents validation, and when you don't get it, you really feel like your world is coming apart. And because that's what you always want to do, you always want to be there for your parents, you always want to make them proud, and you always want their validation. And when, especially when it comes down to a certain something like grief or grieving, which is absolutely necessary for you, and your mother tells you that, hey, there's no point in being sad. I don't understand why you're so sad and depressed even after 1 year of your father passing away. And when you've been a good kid, you're not able to understand how do you still make it right with your parents and still are able to be there for yourself. And nobody can be there for you unlike how you will be there for yourself.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you are also like I'm glad like you kind of experienced this particular chapter so like deeply, because it is one of those things which needs to be experienced like that, and I think it has definitely struck a chord with you. और मैं क्योंकि बता सकता हूँ कि वन ऑफ द मोस्ट अंडररेटेड टॉपिक्स, हम जब ट्रॉमा सोचते हैं हम ये सोच लेते हैं कि बचपन में क्या हुआ होगा हमारे साथ ये वो, बट एक रियल टाइम द कन्फ्लिक्ट वी हैव with our parents ki, because they care for your safety. Most of it is about they wanting you to be safe, but then how you do things so that you still get to grow. Like over the years, there's this one book I read sometime like back, and I publicly haven't like spoken about that like line a lot, but it's a very intense line that you need to do one thing every day as if your father was dead, something he wouldn't approve of. If you really want to become some like big, you need to do and start living your life as if your father is dead. और वो बहुत intense line थी. और I think I was at the airport when I read it and I'm like कि आप किताब बंद कर लो कि ये सब क्या लिखा है ये सब तो. And then you understand the idea of it, like the author is not trying to say कि he literally means that, but it's again something जो संजय रजौरा ने इंटरव्यू में बोला था कि पहला युद्ध हमेशा घर में चालू होता है. The first time you stand up for yourself is when it starts in your house. So हर लड़ाई पहली घर में चालू होती है और वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट होती है. और वहां पे सबसे ज्यादा जो शेफ्स किस है द पर्सन हु मेड दिस यूनिवर्स में वहां पे ये लगता है बट देन यू लव दीज पीपल आल्सो द मोस्ट.
True.
ये यहाँ पे कि मेरे को इनके अगेंस्ट मेरा सबसे ज्यादा प्यार भी है बट दीज आर द पीपल आई नीड टू लाइक स्टैंड अप टू कि आई नीड टू डू दिस इन माय ओन वे. एंड वहां पे where that is where our personalities get made कि हम वहाँ पे कितना रेशो रखना चाहते हैं एंड हम कितना झुकना चाहते हैं कितना नहीं झुकना चाहते हैं. वी स्टिल वांट टू लव देम बट डू थिंग्स इन आवर ओन वे. पता नहीं सडनली मेरे दिमाग में एनिमल का ट्रेलर क्यों आ रहा है.
Papa, Papa.
Papa,
Right, that's it.
Ishita Sengupta has like tweeted like Papa is the new Shiva.
Oh, nice.
Papa. Like, so, but this one is again about the mothers, and then in the next paragraph, she talks about her father. Like, उससे पहले एक और paragraph है,
Yeah.
just
I
मैं
really
एक line
like
बोलूँगा, but
which line
क्या?
did you underline this entire paragraph?
The other one, next one?
Yeah.
No, but like I'll still read.
Which
Yeah,
one
you
have you
go ahead.
highlighted? Just curious to know. Is there any
I'll
line?
tell you, but I want to read one line out of it, then I'll tell you what I've highlighted. Your mother doesn't want you to be an artist, a writer, or an intellect, but that's what you are, right? That's what you want and what you believe in. You want the truth, you want to feel what you feel, you want to feel completely, painfully alive, and you know instinctively that this includes diving straight into your grief and not coming up to the surface until you feel like you are ready. Mama, ये कितना ज़्यादा
Yeah, I underlined this part. You want the truth se leke until you feel like you're ready. Because I think, and then she addresses this. I don't know if she addresses this later, but that's the thing. You want the truth, and you want to feel what you feel. And I think a lot of times when there is a paternal figure that we have, or somebody trying to be a paternal figure for us, they're afraid of, they protect us because they know that more often than not, truth is something that will shake us to the core, and it might do something to our foundation. It'll move it.
हाँ.
There'll be a tectonic shift in our plates, in who we are as individuals. And I think that is sometimes parents try to protect it so much so that they forget that we also are individuals, that we have a personality, we have a being that outside of the relationship that we have with them. I am just not a daughter, I'm a friend. I can be a parent. I am also somebody's, I don't know, girlfriend, partner, etc. And apart from that, I'm also an individual with my own wishes, with my own uh, capabilities. And I think when somebody is trying to be paternal, they forget that we're also an individual under that guise of a daughter or a son.
Yeah. You asked me which is the first thing I highlighted in this like paragraph. The first thing I highlight, make a guess.
I don't know. Your mother doesn't want you to be. You want to feel completely painful. Uh, Definitely the last line.
Oh, you're bang on right about it. Bang on right. उससे पहले एक और चीज है.
Yeah.
I have highlighted two words before that. The words are painfully alive. And I'm like, oof, 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 oh, you kid. The only thing, the two things, painfully alive is the word I have highlighted, and then I haven't highlighted. This includes diving straight into your grief and not coming up to the surface until you feel ready. समझ रहे हो guys? I one of the reasons I पता नहीं like in a very mysterious is the wrong word, in a very poetic way, this doing this episode right now makes me feel even happier knowing we have an episode coming with her
Yeah.
like in December where we'll be real time talking to her like this. So Yeah, man, it's fucking beautiful, dude. And the next part, like paragraph, is about a father. Uh, अब मैं थोड़ा मेरी highlights पे move in करूँगा.
Mm-hmm.
Where she has talked about her father. I'll read my highlight, then Vani, you can do what, like the parts, you can talk about the parts you like. मेरे को एक इसमें line बहुत पसंद है where she talked about like how she was with her father and how he was. My father and I both were very needy, very raw, and the rest of my family was much more controlled, more skeptical, more reserved, far less prone to starting a fight or leaping into the fray or showing their asses. When he died, I mourned for about 4 months straight, and then something shifted. I turned something off. I don't didn't want to play my role as Joker. I was the last remaining emotional wild card in my family, and I felt ashamed of that suddenly. That is such a, oh my fucking god. I was the last remaining emotional wild card in my family, and I felt ashamed of that suddenly.
Yeah. So the part that I've underlined is I turned something off.
Oh,
And then I felt ashamed of that suddenly, and for the first time, I withdrew. I was 25 years old, and after several years of drifting and drinking too much, I got a boyfriend, got a great job, got in shape, and shut all the emotional neediness and messiness out for a while. And then there's the next page, and she says, maybe I made a decision to be happy. And I kind of relate so much to it because I can't sit through emotional movies. And there's a reason why I don't watch a lot of films because it's just so visibly clear. And I kind of stopped listening to certain bands because they would make me so sad. And I made a decision to be happy in caps lock. And then I read this, and there was, and by this point when I was reading this, I wasn't crying, but I was crying on the inside. I was so numb on the outside because I was like, "ये क्या लिख दिया?" This is so, this is just very real.
I think there are. I'm as we are going through these pages again. I can't help but notice all the things I haven't highlighted because that's also tells a lot about you. Because there were a lot of things जैसे वहाँ पे हमारी हमारी भी इंटरनल फाइट्स और स्ट्रगल्स अलग अलग दिखाई देती है कि ओके दिस इज लाइक वेयर लाइक एज इंडिविजुअल्स की कहाँ पे लाइक लेट्स से कि अगर हमारे बहुत ज़्यादा ओवरलैप्स है बट देर आर सम थिंग्स विच इंडिविजुअली लाइक जहाँ पे वी आर ऑल्सो डिफरेंट जैसे एवरी पार्ट लाइक वेयर इट्स रिटन दैट लाइक कि your mother didn't want you to be an artist or writer and intellect वगैरह I didn't highlight those
Mhm.
not because uh, uh, I don't agree with that. I didn't highlight those because I have fought that fight. So, and that's the
I think
first,
I
yeah.
didn't underline that part because it just, I mean, I don't know. Because I just didn't relate to that line. I don't think I think my mother wants me to be an artist. I don't think she wants me to have the struggle. But then I want the truth.
Oh, yeah, this is also a great line. Ki she wants me to be an artist, but she doesn't want the struggle which comes with it.
Yes. And I underlined the part you want the truth, you want to feel what you feel. And that's so true because if you start living the way your parents want you to feel, I've realized that you don't, you are so dishonest. I will be so dishonest to myself because I will be, I mean, because I already disapprove of so many emotions that I feel. And some of them are because people only want me to be happy and they don't want me to be all the other things. But I think a major part of being honest to yourself or being really authentic is feeling what you feel. And a lot of us apologize for how we feel 90% of the 90s other organs, 75% of the times. And it just so much energy goes into apologizing for things we shouldn't be apologizing for, things that should just be a part of us, no matter what.
Yeah. I like these. I think वानी की बेस्ट सेरेपी तो मैं ही कर रहा हूँ यार कुल मिला के
See, that's why I get tired of my therapist and I just ghost them itself.
because you know the benchmark. No, so Yeah, because I know this is also getting intense beach way, but like I know we have a like we only have like a little like time bound है
No,
हमारे पास.
we're
Yeah, we और
we
अभी
should
भी
wrap
there
this
are.
thing up by now.
Yeah, so I'll talk about like overall जो कुछ चीजें जिसके बारे में मैं बात करना चाहता. Then इन्होंने I am not going paragraph to paragraph now. We have also have a time like abomination today. Then she talks about the friends. Okay, when it comes to the grief and like how it is linked with friends. And then she talks about very few of my friends. I had a lots, uh, but only few were capable of discussing my dad's death with me. It made them uncomfortable. They were sure they'd say the wrong thing. I love this. Like,
Yeah.
मैंने इसको underline किया हुआ है. They were sure they'd say the wrong thing. We were all so self conscious and inflexible and confused by the immense gulf between different people's experiences. They try to downplay death and act like the death of a second cousin and the death of a parent should be tackled with the same blaze toughness. Oh, ho, 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 ho. And not only is this attitude bizarre, insensitive, and pathologically self protective, but it shuts down the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you don't know that much about death yet because you've never had a close friend or a family member die. When you lose someone very close to you, someone who makes up this essential part of your history and your future, your worldview shifts dramatically. And after my dad's death, I felt more anguished and I felt more alive than I'd ever felt in my life. I felt more grateful than ever. I only wanted honest people in my life, people who could talk about the heaviness and melancholy and really savor it instead of feeling uncomfortable. And there is only one part in the whole chapter which I have circled. And then she says, "Don't retreat."
I kid you not. This is the
What are you?
only phrase in the entire chapter that I have underlined, double underlined, triple underlined. Underlined it
Vani, let's
78
show.
times. I am not even kidding. I don't know if you can see this. This.
Now, oh, it's for a.
Can you see?
Oh, now it's your mine. Don't retreat, don't.
Oh,
Oh.
oh God. This is nice. I underlined one more line that you did not. She says, "You
Yeah,
have a palpable feeling that everything and anything good can disappear at any time." I missed my dad a lot. I also felt like everyone I knew was going to start dying. I also hated that my dad wasn't able to go on living. I wanted him to be alive. I wanted him to feel rain on his face, to
I have underlined
a
this line.
great meal,
Yeah,
to read something funny for his sake.
I have underlined this line. This is beautiful. I wanted him to feel the rain on his face and like eat a good. Oh, fuck. Vani, isn't she?
Yeah.
It takes. ये मैंने बेटर कॉल सॉल के लिए बोला था कि टू अप्रिशिएट गुड आर्ट आपकी ओवरऑल नॉलेज ऑफ आर्ट एक लेवल की होनी चाहिए ये सो दैट जैसे ये मैंने गुलशन निवेदी के साथ एक एपिसोड किया था उन्होंने कहा था कि जब आप म्यूजिक के बारे में थोड़ा पढ़ोगे थोड़ा समझोगे तो आपकी ओवरऑल एस्थेटिक नॉलेज एक लेवल की हो जाएगी सो दैट व्हेन यू देन हेयर लाइक गुड म्यूजिक यू विल बी एबल टू अप्रिशिएट इट मोर we read. I think you and I both read and like हम देखते हैं we read bad stuff we read good stuff so when you see writing like this like come to you you can tell कि it is very very rare मतलब एक होता है कि a lesser like competent write a lesser like accomplished writer would write like hey I miss my dad but like articulating it in a way where you write I wanted him to feel the rain on his face, to eat a great meal, to read something funny for his sake.
And for his sake, HIS is capital.
And his is capital.
Yeah. This is just.
And then she talks about कि अब ये सब हो गया अब आपको करना क्या चाहिए she says do not retreat you need to find people who will talk about this figure out who they are look hard at your friends and figure out which ones you can lean on a little more
Yeah.
someone out there can handle it I'm sure of that you just have to figure out who they are
Yeah.
what's your take on this
Yeah, I mean, if you're fortunate enough, you will have a few people in your life who are prepared to help you out with your grief. But I think in our age, a lot of people just feel very lonely. For them, we have grief counselors. And if not, I mean, it's very difficult to come across people who understand what you're going through. I mean, a lot of people will say it in passing, yeah, yeah, it's sad, and you'll feel like they do, but there'll be so many people who think they're pushing you forward, but instead they're just pushing your grief behind a rock, and it's just one fall away from coming up again. But I
And
tried, sorry, please.
please, please.
I like how she's also mentioned how she can do it on her own. She talks about exercising, she talks about maintaining a diary, and she talks about fatigue, how it can feel so real, but then at the same time, it can be so redemptive when somebody is sad. And I like her, I don't know the exact line where it is because I didn't underline it. But she said that mourning and exercising is a very nice,
It's in the next paragraph.
yeah. She's like, you're in a lot of pain. What else is a little more pain? And yeah.
We are like very very short on time,
Yeah,
but
I didn't. We should keep 1.5 hours aside for this.
sorry.
No, but I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah. There's this
yeah,
another.
and then
I haven't
yeah,
underlined a lot on the next page. I've just tick marked fatigue can feel pretty redemptive when you're sad. Then I've underlined this because mourning is about being alive.
I have
Leaning,
also underlined
and then
this.
I've underlined leaning into your sadness is
Oh, I have
be happy.
literally. I'm not even kidding.
Oh my god, I haven't underlined anything else. I've just underlined two lines and ticked one because mourning is about being alive and leaning into your sadness and not refusing to be happy.
So, also, Vani, like to tell you a little bit about my underlining hygiene. A lot of times I underline stuff when I'm just impressed by the English and the articulation. Like there's this
Yeah,
line,
same.
you are not a two-dimensional cartoon cutout who keeps all pain at bay at the expense of your very soul.
Mm,
You are going to feel this crushing loss for as long as you need to feel it. You're going to feel the full force of it so that you can also feel
yeah.
devastated, confused, and all that. And you're going to feel grateful. This is the paradox of
Oh,
mourning.
I've ticked marked this one.
Incredible sadness carries with it an ability to touch the purest strain of joy, to experience an almost aesthetic release, to see an almost blinding, undiluted beauty in everything.
I
And then,
I
like,
really like this part where she says, I haven't underlined your dad will always be a part of your life, but I've underlined the next line where she says, I hated it when people said that kind of thing before my dad died, that he'll always be a part of my life. I thought it was a sad lie told by needy liars, but it's true.
and
Yeah.
and then I've underlined this line: if I turn my back
I
on how
swear
important
that's the next line. We're so great
what,
minds think alike.
literally, yeah.
Yeah, see? Wait, I'll also show you. This is my this particular page here. There's this, and
ऊपर
then
करो
the
तो
last part.
oh. So the line I have underlined is: if I turn my back on how important he is, I block my path to joy. And then, and even then, I have
Why?
underlined the last
Wait,
paragraph
I did. Why didn't you underline? I block my ability to bring joy to other people. You don't want to bring.
because I don't. Because, like I said, मैं कुछ पे इतना काम कर चुका हूँ कि there are a lot of things that I'm not worried about anymore.
And
I
yeah,
don't block my ability to bring joy to other people.
I said, okay, he just missed one line beach me, which is this. You don't want to bring joy to other. Okay, I feel about and even the sadness that I feel about losing him is vital. It makes every color brighter. Oh, I loved this.
Yeah,
It makes every color brighter. It makes every single moment of happiness or longing or satisfaction or grace or melancholy more real, more palpable, more complete. And then I like how she said,
and
I haven't
ये
underlined the next paragraph pura, but I've ticked,
you have underlined it पूरा या नहीं?
no, I haven't.
No.
because I wanted to.
So I'll take this one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So आप बताओ अपना फिर then I'll
Yeah,
like
I didn't
yeah.
underline the whole thing because there were two lines yahan par, which I loved so much. And I already knew the last paragraph will be a banger, so I read it in advance. And then I found my two lines and I underlined them. And then I've just hashed like on hearted this last paragraph.
When I was reading this, there was a matlab, let's say metaphorically, I was also going through a loss because of something which had happened. And I was reading it, what, 2 weeks back, and I was going through something very, very personal, which was kind of also, there was a kind of loss that I was going through. Or when I was feeling ki, if I'll tell it to anyone, they'll say ki, you shouldn't like be giving a shit about these things wherever what the like what are you doing yet you are on a completely wrong tangent, like these things shouldn't be bothering you and blah blah blah. But then I have realized every time I've had a fall like break up kind of a situation with any person, what I've allowed myself is the luxury to experience it, because then I recover very fast. And then I think this is a quote by Trevor Noah. Ki, it's not like I don't feel things. I think this is also in my VM notion for this month. I'll like read that line to you. Uh, I don't think I have a thick skin, but I heal fast. It's easy to break through, but I heal fast. And since see there are like a lot of identities to who I am, also like running like company, like and like being a creator, being an artist, being a human being, uh, being a director, like और ये सारी चीजें. तो कभी कभी हो जाता है कि आपकी इमोशनल साइड बहुत ज्यादा दिख जाती है एंड पीपल विल बी लाइक हे मैन what are you doing, these shouldn't be visible to the other person. Or and then I understood I am the kind of person who is going to feel things. And I've noticed this pattern about me. Any person who can make me feel anything, particularly I'm talking about authors here and writers here, like I owe a lot to them. The my introduction to Ray Bradbury in this universe was there is this paragraph in Dandelion Wine where a kid is in a like in a park with another kid, और वो घास में लौट रहे हैं, and suddenly a guy looks at his hand and he realizes I am alive. And then he trips on the fact that holy shit, this moment is real, I am alive, I can see my hand, I never want to let go of this moment because I just want to be alive. And I kept crying, and then I'm like, "Ki," because I felt alive when I was reading that, and I'm like, yeah, I found my like जिसको रे ब्रैडबेरी कहता है quote unquote papa, like in the like the people in the artistic world that you relate to, like that. This I think that this is something which happened with Vaani when she discovered Avashai. So any person who brings me to feel like to that level where I feel alive, I owe a lot to them. But that comes at a cost. That comes at a cost of you being exposed to the world. And Vani also knows in a lot of core team meetings, we have seen the lectures of Sam Altman together. And like Sam Altman had the craziest last 7 days. And there's a tweet he had written in 2020 that like made me cry. I shared it on Instagram also. Let yourself occasionally get a little screwed in exchange for not having to live your life with guards up all the time. It's worth it. एंड आई थिंक रिसेंटली मेरी लाइफ में ऐसी बहुत चीज़ें हुई है जिससे मुझको लगता है कि आई लेट माई गार्ड डाउन एंड देन उसका नेगेटिव ये है दैट लाइक यू आर एक्सपोज्ड बट I think it's worth it because if you can heal quickly, you also get to experience everything. But you need to experience those things. And that brings me to the last paragraph. Don't wonder how you will deal with this. You are dealing with it. Don't wonder how you will get over it. You will never get over it. Trust me that it's also gratifying and miraculous and astonishing and endlessly inspiring and important and helpful. Letting this pain in and growing from it will give you strength and resilience that you can pass on to the other people in ways you cannot possibly understand now. It's not all about you, not remotely. You are not stuck. You're not wallowing. This is a beautiful, terrible time in your life that you'll always remember. Don't run away from it. Don't shut it down. And then I've started the last line. Don't get over it.
You didn't read the line which I underlined, not underlined, but I really wanted. It was, I know that you will never get over it, and I know that seems heartbreaking and depressing and wrong.
I didn't read
Yeah,
this.
you didn't read this.
Oh, I haven't I've underlined you will never get over it. मैंने उसकी अगली line को direct under. That's the only line
Why?
that I haven't.
Why do you not want people, like, people assume heartbreak and this is so wrong, depressing, heartbreaking, and that's why they don't allow themselves to feel these things because they
I'm
only
too cool
know
to
them.
I'm too cool to underline like basic lines like these.
Yeah, okay.
No, but
I hope
Vani
we can keep
genuinely,
that also. I hope we can keep this also. I'm looking
yeah, we
forward
should keep
to
this.
trying.
We should keep this. And should we also keep the parts where we
Yeah,
became
yeah, yeah. I think
like,
all of it was not like this, but like it was okay, cool.
yeah.
Not chef's kiss.
So with that we end the episode 1 of season 2 of VM Square. How does it feel, Vani, to be back?
It's we're not back there yet, but it's a great.
No, no, this is being back. We are back. Please allow yourself to feel feelings, Vani. कब तक फील नहीं करोगी?
Yeah,
कब खोलेगा रे तेरा खून फैजल?
खोल गया. No, I think it's a great episode. Let's see how people respond to it. I'm actually excited about the next episode now.
Yeah,
And
and and before we end this, guys, do like check out our new merch. We
yes,
have been putting out amazing merch, Chalchitra Talks,
yay!
and
This is the thumbnail of the
Kit.
video. Or whatever. What are we supposed to do? I don't know what to do with my
ऐसे हंस जैसा.
yeah, because I'm like, but no,
Also, this was good. I hope Riverside, like, God blesses us and we get like terrific recordings, because then it's going to be our
true.
new normal. We'll be using this software in future.
And you'll be
For
able
those
to
of
see
you who don't
our
know, we are used. Yeah,
and you'll be able to
like,
see the flaws in our skin, hair, rooms very clearly, visibly.
yeah, and like, वानी को मैं यही बोलूंगा, don't turn away from it, don't shut it down.
Don't get
Yeah,
overcooked.
yeah, and we'll be back soon. Become a member. We have a book club. We have a movie
Secret
club.
Santa हो
हमारे
रहा है
बहुत
बुक
सारे
क्लब
club.
में अगले महीने के लिए. That's the best time of the year.
Yeah, yeah. There is a secret Santa, and I have already shared these things in like the book club, Morning Glory के कुछ like I shared that line grief वाली की, be in your grief and not come out of it until you feel ready. ये सब मैंने किया था वहाँ पे. And I'm glad a lot of people, Vani, I don't know if you're noticing, a lot of people are buying this book.
Yeah.
So I've kind of make it like the book of the year, kind of a sort, like a book of a month. तो चल ही रहा है कि
Yeah.
every few days I see someone in our community buy this book. So it's
True.
beautiful.
You know, we should start keeping book of the year. And every year we should get the author or try to get them or and send them our merch also towards the
Yeah,
book of the year. And you can do that with her because you're recording an episode now. So.
yeah. So this is great, and thank you for your time, guys. Do tell us how you like the pre-recorded VM Square, and this makes us more relaxed and do it our way.
I think we
And मैंने
also
एक दो
allow
जगह
this.
खाया, but like my पूरा का पूरा खाना is untouched. Now I'm going to eat
Yeah,
it.
cool, amazing.
चलो guys, we'll see you soon. Subscribe to Kitaabi Cabins. Big plans with it. जैसे मैं एक बहुत cool episode कर रहा हूँ for Kitaabi Cabins in December. Vani is also getting
Yes,
someone. Do you want to reveal? जिन्होंने यहाँ तक देखा, reveal it for them.
Jerry Pinto. Don't make it in the comments. But yes, we're recording an episode with him next month. I'm very excited about it. उनकी नई किताब.
So use the hashtag I know the secret.
Oh yeah,
ठीक है?
I know the
Yeah.
secret. Yes, you know what people will do? People will just come to the last part. Then I know the secret.
No, no,
They
no.
always reveal.
हमारी I know our audience. They will be here. They will be here for the
Yeah, I
like
like how
the
we have so much faith in our audience.
yeah, yeah.
So much faith.
रोटी पानी आ रही है यार, मतलब पता है हमें, like we are like they will like If we are sincere, they will be sincere. This is how
Is
it
this still going
works.
to go on?
I don't know.
Anyway,
So,
yeah.
chalo, we'll end the recording now. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.